So my name is Brian McAllister, and I'm based out of Los Angeles, California. And honestly, I've been modeling professionally since October of 2025. So this really was 2025, 2026 was my first LA Fashion Week season. Modeling had always been a dream of mine. Back in the early 90s, during the age of the supers, Tyson Beckford, I went to casting calls and they were like, yeah, you're too skinny and there's no muscle and yeah, goodbye. So that sort of like killed the dream. But now that we're in this modern era where there's, diversity, because everybody has to wear clothes, whether you're plus size, whether you're older, young, it doesn't matter. So because of that, that has allowed me to come back into the industry and go for it. And so that's what I've done. So it's been a great experience, a learning experience. So for example, call times. Sometimes at the fashion show, the call time is closer to the time of the show. So if the show starts at 8, they might say, oh, okay, we'll have you there at, 4 o'clock. Other shows, even though the show doesn't start till 8, they want you there at 10:30 in the morning. So those days are long because there's a lot of downtime. And then after the downtime, then there's the fitting and then a little rehearsal. So after the fashion show, I would be tired. It'd be 11:30 at night or whatever. And people are like, well, all you did was walk down the runway. But that's not the case. I've been, at the venue since 10:30 in the morning and now it's 11 o'clock. So it was like an all day, affair. But all in all, it's been a rewarding experience. It's pushed me to better myself when it comes to aesthetics, when it comes to professionalism, when it comes to just the modeling industry in general. And I wouldn't trade it. I wouldn't trade it for the world. My whole little routine is multifaceted. So that there's the aesthetic part. So, I have a really good skincare routine. Use the right products to make sure that the skin is like porcelain. I also work out at the gym to stay in shape. As far as the long days go, I make sure that I'm hydrated, that that I've eaten, because I've actually seen some models almost pass out or vomit because they didn't want to eat, they didn't want to be bloated on the runway. So self-care is very important. Because if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to be good for the client. You definitely want to be good for the show. So self-care is what I put in the forefront. Well, I actually wanted to be a runway model when I was younger. It actually started way back when I was actually a little kid, funny enough. I used to see the little kids in the newspaper, modeling clothes. And I told my mom, I was like, oh, I want to do that. And of course, she didn't take me seriously. But yeah, it started there. And then I just sort of kept my eye on fashion and modeling as I grew older. And then, like I said, my dreams were dashed in the early 90s. And then my best friend, who's older than me, he actually did a show in Orange County in, I want to say April of about this time last year, actually. And I was supposed to cast for it. But the brakes went out in my truck. My brake pedal went all the way to the floor. So I wasn't able to make that casting, but I went to the show and people were like, oh, are you modeling? I was like, oh, no. I'm in the VIP section, but I'm not modeling. And so they're like, you should model. And I was like, you know what, maybe I'll give it a try. And then so in September of last year, I casted for Model Mafia and I wasn't chosen. I was chosen for another show, but I wasn't chosen for Model Mafias. And Queen Sheba's, you need some runway courses. And that sort of pissed me off and put lit a fire under my butt. And then I was like, you know what? Maybe she's right. And she was actually right, because what I was doing was from the 90s and we're it's 2025. So things are done differently. So it just sort of snowballed from there, because that first show I did, I walked for a designer. He's like, hey, you know what? I have a show next month on the 25th. I'd love for you to walk. So I did that show, and then that show just led to another show, and it just kept going. And I got in contact with my now mentor, Paris Harris, and he's kept me in the loop. So it's just been going good since 2025, basically. So and now, and I'm so glad because I've been able to make connections with fellow models, photographers like yourself. And so I love this community. We're like so cool because the relationships that I've created, we've been networking and we've been sharing, opportunities, with each other. And it's a good feeling, and it's a community that I'm glad to be a part of. The highlight for me for this season was the Divinity Oliventa fashion show. That fashion show really mirrored like the fashion shows that you might see in New York or Europe, because not only were there, live cameramen and photographers, there was actually drones flying above us filming. And, that caliber of show is done for like, Victoria's Secrets, Versace. So that was like an amazing show. And I was like, okay, I think I made it. Yeah. So that was a highlight. Another highlight was at the Indie Fast Show when I walked for Mario B, because Mario B really has the clothes that I like, that really like goes to my personality, because I like to be in high fashion. Like streetwear is cool, but I'm really like more of a fashionable person, and so it's like his collection matched my personality, and I really brought it out it really showed on the runway. So that was another highlight, I would say, for this season. A low for me personally was, it was a shot by a different photographer. I was tired. And it showed on my face. I was like, oh my God. That's why I said self-care is very important, because that week, I remember I had worked like 4 days at work for like 12 hours. So that was like Monday through Thursday, and then Friday I worked, and then Saturday was a show. And so really during that week, I had not got like enough sleep, and I was like burning the candle at both ends. So I was fine, my walk was fine on the runway, but when the picture was snapped, you could just see the fatigue in my face. And, we're our own worst critic, but I'm like, if I could see it, somebody else probably saw it. So I definitely had to use Facetune on that picture before it got posted. But that was the only like low moment. But everything else has been it's been pretty positive. I haven't had a run-in with like any of the show producers or not gotten along with anyone. I'm a pretty easygoing fellow, so yeah. No horrible moments for me. Critiquing like the angle of the shot. Like, did they get me on my good side? Did that angle make sense? I was recently in a show, and the photographer like took the picture like at an awkward moment. Like when I was like mid movement, like I was about to like maybe take off a hood or something, but my hands looked funny. You know what I mean? It looked awkward. So, those type of pictures don't get posted. But yeah, I'm looking for quality. I'm looking for, the lighting. Overall, like, is it a good picture? Is this a picture that I can post? If it's not a picture that I can post, then yeah, they lose points. I haven't had that issue with you. So that's why I'm glad to be here today. Ones that just make me look good. I need a picture that I look good, from head to toe. Because sometimes, the body shot might be great, but the face might be off. You know what I mean? Because maybe the lighting is a little bit off, or the angle is just a little bit off. Yeah, as long as I look good, that's what I'm looking for. The advice I would give would be to, number one, follow your dream. I never thought that I would be, at this level. Honestly, I didn't have this on my bingo card. So, follow your dream. Be prepared. Be prepared for be prepared so when the opportunity comes, you can be successful. So do your self-care. Make sure your skin is clear. Do take care of your physical fitness. Also be professional. Nobody wants to work with somebody who's difficult. Be on time, be pleasant, and do what you're hired to do. Because at the end of the day, your success is your photographer's success and vice versa. And you both can elevate. You can both win. That's the goal. And then lastly, I would say, have fun. When it's no longer fun, then it's probably time to, get out of the industry. I'm still having fun. I'm doing photo shoots. I'm doing runway shows, even though I might be tired or whatever, I still push through. And it's a great ride. It's a great ride that you can be a part of. So I would describe my walk as authoritative. And you're correct. So like when I'm on the runway, I'm supposed to be there. And I want all eyes on me. And what I'm thinking about is what I'm going to do at the end of the runway, and what facial expressions. So, I've learned through trial and error, like what facial expressions work at the end of the runway and which ones don't. Because sometimes, if you look too serious, then you just look mean. Like you're looking at somebody that you hate, and you don't want that. So those are like some of the things that I'm thinking about. But my walk is very authoritative, and it is a walk that I guess would just command attention. It's evolved because the more experience you get, the better you get. Because actually, when I started in October, I was like 25 pounds heavier. So everything has evolved. So I would say that it's evolved to a more polished walk. I've already been invited to New York Fashion Week, and I've been told that I have potential to, go over to Europe. So that's very, encouraging. And I would say that would be a reward for, my hard work. Definitely. So ultimately, my goal is to do the different fashion weeks, but also to, nab a campaign. There's nothing wrong with being an e-commerce model, or, I wouldn't even mind, getting a check for being in a JCPenney catalog in a suit. You know what I mean? So my goal is to snap a campaign. Just it makes some money, but have fun while making the money. Because when you're doing something that you really like, it's not a job because you're doing something that you enjoy. You're doing something that you like. Now, currently, my 9-to-5 job, I enjoy it, but not to the level of modeling or being in the industry. And my best friend, he's a stylist, and so he's been doing what he's loved like for decades. And so when he goes to work, it's not like he's going to work. So I want that to be the same for me in this industry. But ultimately, it's to get that bag and say goodbye to the 9-to-5, for sure. Your hard work was worth it. Every sacrifice that you made, every time you had to push through, every time you had little to no sleep, it was all worth it in the end. Job well done. So you can find me on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Brian Iman MC. That's BrianImanMC.